Well, it's been a little while since I've done a short about the Queen Mary, so we're going to do a little short here about the ins and outs. Have you ever wondered what the ins and outs of the Queen Mary is today? You see her here with all of these different pipes and rubber hoses that seem to be attached to the ship, and I'll just run over those very briefly here with you. So originally the ship was self-dependent. Water was pumped on board, fuel was pumped on board. As far as electrical power, she had her own generators. In fact, she was never even designed to be shore powered, even in her sailing days, when she'd be in New York or Southampton. She would always at least have a few of her hotel service boilers running, and would have her generators powered, steamed up, so that they would be having electricity all the time. When the ship came here, she was going to be completely shore dependent. So the first thing I'll talk about is these four rigid conduits that are coming into the ship. And those are the 4160 volt three-phase power that comes from the Southern California Edison feed right over here in these little shrubbed buildings. And that 4160 volt power goes up into D deck, where there is a steel reinforced, almost tank-like structure where the Southern California Edison transformers that bring it down to 480 volts are located, which is just there in that bottom row of portholes. And then from there, it's all distributed to the ship down to 110 volts, which is, the normal household power that we have here in the United States. As far as emergency power, she used to have a generator on board, even in her Long Beach days, that would fire up when electricity would be cut or lost. And that generator has now been moved shoreside, and I believe it's 300 kilowatts of 480 volt power that will fire up when electricity is lost. And you'll see on the gangway there are other wires that seem to be hanging in. So a lot of that is powering, like, the lights on the gangways themselves, either coming from the ship or from the elevator towers. As far as the rubber hoses are concerned, that's a mix of fresh water, domestic water coming into the ship, or it is we have a couple of fire mains that pressurize the fire hose stations around the ship, and then some of them are for sewage tank removal. And so she does have a little bit of a processing plant on board that will process the sewage, and then it is pumped off the ship and goes into the shoreside sewer line. And then also we have over here a rigid pipe that comes from shoreside and goes onto the ship, and that also comes into C deck, and that is actually supplying steam. It's low pressure steam, but steam is used for the kitchens, for cooking. It's also used to make hot water, and it's also used for heating on board. And that all comes from this big black building right here, where there are steam generators that are supplying the steam for the ship there. And so that is, and I will make one last little comment. This little box right here is one of several, and that's supplying electricity to the electric cathodic protection system that helps to neutralize the ship, to help lower electrolysis or corrosion on the hull. And those go down to anodes that are connected to the ship, and it's a big wiring mess, I understand, down below, but that covers a little bit of the ins and outs. And the little holes that you see coming out there, those are mostly scupper drains. Scuppers are like the drainage from the upper decks when it rains, or when they're hosed down. The water's got to go somewhere, and so they go down pipes that go vertically from all the way up there straight down to those little holes there. And every once in a while, especially on rainy days, you'll see a lot of water coming out of those openings. But that's the ins and outs.